Welcome to our podcast where stories and transformation is the pursuit of wellness. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Code Speak by our pod by Ustride. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Aparna. Her journey is simple, trust me, yet very inspiring, and it embraces life, balance, fulfillment, and sustainable living. Join us to discover how she empowers all of us to begin the journey of wellness. Welcome, Aparna. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvina. Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, I was going through your profile, as in before, formulating the questions and everything. So, I want you to take us back to that New Year's resolution and what motivated you to do something new.
Yeah, I think almost 8 to 9 years ago, I came up with this idea that you should constantly keep yourself upgrading, And I thought, what better than being a student forever, trying to learn something new every year? Because I think 12 months is time enough to able to pick up at least a new skill, and then you can hone it for the rest of your life. And that is how this came into being, where I picked up different skills every year and tried to learn them, work on them, and use them in my personal life. And that is how yoga happened to me. You would not believe, no one in my circle believes that I was a person who really was not into yoga. As a child, I used to bunk all my yoga lessons. So for me to pick up yoga was quite interesting for me as well. And yeah, that is how it happened. I took my first class and I was hooked. There was no looking back after that.
Amazing. So, what is it about yoga that resonated so deeply that you literally led to it as a profession?
I think it was about wellness. When I saw the changes in my own life, when I started practicing yoga every day, not just yoga, but breath work, pranayama, making small lifestyle changes, identifying my own burnout signals well in advance so that I was not breaking down, it had a tremendous impact on my life. I saw how much more in control of my emotions I was, in control of my own physical health I was, and the changes that I saw in myself in the long term were nothing less than revolutionary. And I think that is when I realized that this is something that everyone needs to be doing. I at least owe it to myself and everyone around me to be able to share this profound knowledge that I have just found.
Amazing. So, speaking about gaining control of emotions that you just mentioned, so what are the top two tips that you give our audience to gain control over emotional breakdown or meltdown?
I think the first is self awareness, which sounds very simple, but we all miss out on. Being aware of ourselves, being aware of our strengths, being aware of our weaknesses. And sometimes, even if we are aware, a lot of times we subconsciously or unconsciously are in denial of our own emotions. We deny the fact that we can be triggered easily. We deny that we have certain emotions which are not so pleasant. So, being aware of our emotions is number one. And number two is self reflection, reflecting on what a certain trigger does to us, what is the impact of a certain situation. Because if you really reflect, your life is a pattern that comes out of the choices you make, and you will always find yourself in some kind of pattern. There'll always be a similar kind of thing irking you always. So
Mhm.
to take a step back and reflect upon it is the only way that we can catch these signals and work on them. And if I may add, taking a step back is extremely important. So
Right.
be aware and then reflect, and
So
only
speaking
then.
speaking about reflection and self-awareness. So like you mentioned, the pattern, that is really interesting to me. So how do you transition into questioning yourself, for that reflection and identifying that pattern?
I think it's very simple. Every time you think you're not doing the right thing, just take a step back and question yourself. And I think it's very easy to know when you've lost your temper. I don't think it's difficult for oneself to really know. Even if
Yes.
you don't know yourself, there will be someone telling you that, hey, that was not a right thing to say, or you got triggered unnecessarily. We have support system, we have our family, we have our colleagues, friends, and a lot of times people say to us, but our go-to reaction, our reflex action is always that, oh, it was just in a fit of rage, let it be. I'm not like that. I'm not a person. We immediately brush it off. I think
Mm.
that is the exact moment when we should take a step back and really reflect that if someone is pointing something out, maybe he or she is right. Maybe I can ask myself few questions on why I behaved a certain way or why I lost control of myself.
Wow, beautiful. So, when we speak, I'm sure you've gone through a lot of training, a lot of, self awareness, like you mentioned, and you've had a long retreat period as well. So, can you share some experiences that really touched you and were really impactful in or something that resonates with you in the trajectory that you're leading to?
When I left my corporate life, I took a year long break. And the idea of this break was to understand myself better, because that was not the time when it did not happen that I left my corporate life and I got into yoga, right? I took a
Mm.
year long break, I took a year long retreat. I spent most of my time in the Himalayas doing a lot of different things. I traveled, I stayed in the remotest villages. I learned the basics of minimal living, not by doing any course, but just by living with people who practice minimalism.
Right.
Um, I did a lot of certifications, a lot of meditation courses. I learned a lot about a life that I had not seen, I had not been a part of. I saw life at grassroots level, which really impacted me a lot. And the first emotion, the first thought that came to my mind was that, my goodness, I have been so privileged,
Right.
and how grateful I should be for having these small little things which I take for granted. And that was something that changed everything for me. And I still practice gratefulness every day. I still practice gratitude every day, because I think it's a mindset. It just changes everything. And that was one thing that had a profound impact on my life, where I realized that more often than not, we end up taking a lot of things for granted. And we
Right.
really should be grateful for everything we have here and now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, what were the challenges that you faced, from the corporate to the minimalism to the wellness? So, of course, it's all a transition. That learning curve is just growing. So, what were the challenges that you actually faced?
I think the first challenge was to let go of things that I had normalized. Normalizing being busy. I don't think I used to take a lot of pride in the fact that I work 16 hours. And I realized that I don't think that was something to be proud of. Not having enough time for my own self, I don't think that was something to be proud of. And I was faced with a lot of difficult questions. I was asking my own self a lot of difficult questions. So, to change the whole mindset and accepting a new normal was very challenging for me, but at the same time it was easy, because that was a choice that I made.
Right.
It was not out of compulsion that I was doing anything, it was a conscious choice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when we want something from within, it's easy to maneuver through those challenges.
Hmm.
The second challenge would be settling down here in the Himalayas, because the seasons can be harsh, the means
Yeah.
can be limited, everything is different. You don't have a shopping complex, you don't have a discotheque, you don't
Yeah.
even have petrol pumps in most of the places.
Right.
So I think making that shift and accepting everything for what it was definitely challenging. But I was lucky enough that I did not have any challenges from my family or from my support system. So that was something that did play in my favor.
Really inspiring, I must say. So, when we speak about wellness, maybe meditation or vipassana or self reflection or Reiki healing or yoga, so everything plays a pivotal role, right, for overall wellness. So, what is your personal approach to wellness?
My personal approach to wellness that I recommend to everyone is to ask yourself, why do you want to change something? This has to be absolutely clear in one's head, because unless you know why you are doing something, you will never stick to it. That
Right.
has to come from within. Uh, you should know that if you are wanting to change something, then why is that change so important in your life? And I think once you know what is missing, once you know the missing piece, you will always find it and you will always complete the puzzle.
Yeah.
So, for me, the approach would be to start with questioning yourself that, do I need to change something? What do I need to change? And the third would be, how can I make that change? And when you ask yourself the how, the third question is when a wellness coach comes into picture, and then the rest is their responsibility to guide you to understand your journey, to understand what you're looking for, and then guide you in a structured manner. Because yoga is not weight loss, and meditation is not a fashion.
Right.
So it's really important to understand how much of what is to be done and how it is to be done.
Absolutely. It's very important to gain that entire knowledge than have half knowledge of just a state of mind, perception, or influencing of what people are saying. But it's actually about you believing in yourself and what you want to transition into, like what your life story is telling us. So, when we speak about sustainable living, now you spoke about the new normal, which is for you. You spoke about getting into the grassroots of things, and for when we speak about incorporating sustainable living, where it comes to, like you mentioned, leaving everything and understanding the new normal that you are facing, going to the grassroots level and being so grateful to what you have in life, which of course a lot of us take it for granted. So incorporating sustainability with coaching and lifestyle, how does that work with you?
I think sustainable living is a concept that is very close to my heart, because I see mass consumerism that's happening these days, where we are over consuming everything without really recognizing. A lot of people, I think, are not even aware of the concept of mass consumption that's happening, or over consumption of things that's happening. For me personally, I practice sustainability in small little things. I have a small vegetable garden. I grow my own vegetables. I try to grow as much as I can. And because I stay in a semi rural kind of a setting, so we still have the concept of exchanging vegetables
Oh,
and,
yes.
you know, eating organic things, eating homegrown things, focusing on not what you want, but on what you have. I think that is the core of sustainability. If you focus on what you have, it is more often than not very simple to recycle it, or to make make things work with it. But we often choose convenience of, okay, we don't have this, so let's just order that. And
Yeah.
that is what slowly gives rise to overconsumption without realizing, and leaves us with a bunch of unwanted things. And then every year we get into the cycle of spring cleaning.
Yes.
So, personally, I do try to ask myself if I really need it or if I just want it. And I try to recycle as much. I try to be self sustainable as much as I can. And it's a slow process, but I think at the end of the day, it's very rewarding to be able to uh, work with the means that you have.
Right, perfect. So, my next question to you is that how could individuals find a unique path? Now, everyone is unique, everyone's path is different. So, that unique path for a fulfilling career, which is aligned to wellness and values.
I think that's actually a great question. It's a fantastic question, which is very close to my heart as well, because I don't believe in the fact that a corporate person has to be burnout always. And I don't believe that you can only achieve either mental peace or money. I think everything goes hand in hand. And even if you go back to our scriptures, even if you go to Bhagavad Gita or scriptures, nowhere they talk about burnout. Burnout is not mentioned anywhere. What is
Yeah,
mentioned is happiness, contentment, peace. And that is what we are living for. At the end of the day, whatever we do, what do we want? We just want to be happy. Even if it's security or money, it brings us peace, it brings us happiness. And that is why we do whatever we do.
yeah,
And I think we should really ask ourselves if we are doing something at the cost of our happiness, at the cost of our own well being. And that is where the journey of balance begins. Being able to balance the work life with our own mental health. Being able to take out time for the work and also for our own self, and
right.
finding that balance, and starting with micro habits, micro lifestyle changes that are sustainable. If this morning I get up and I say I'm going to meditate an hour every day, that's not going to happen, let's be honest.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
won't happen, no. So, but if I say that during my lunch break, I will take 5 minutes out for myself and I'll meditate, we still might be able to do it more. At
yeah.
least 80% of the times, we still will be able to do it.
Hmm.
So I think it starts with making these micro changes, sustainable changes. And once you see these changes happening, and once you see these changes making an impact in your life, it is just a compounding effect. And
Right.
then you just want to, keep making changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talking about change, what are the future aspirations that you have in your wellness journey and for your venture?
I started with yoga. When I started Yogtaara, it was just about yoga, and then we moved to meditation, we moved to pranayam. It's interesting. We've expanded to sound healing. Sound healing is something that came intuitively to me during meditation. I did not proactively pursue it. It was something that came to me, and when I worked on it, it was as though I've been working with sound forever. I just knew sound, I understood sound, I understood the instruments, and that is how sound healing came to me. And that became very, very dear and very, very sacred to me. And that is how I combined sound with massages, so that you get a physical as well as an emotional release.
Right.
And Then I combined it with body alignment and breath. So I've seen my journey evolve, and it has evolved not because I have been busy trying to make money, but I think for me personally, I've been busy trying to just work on myself. And that is how these things have come to me from within, and they've helped me a lot in expanding my own venture.
Right.
So we now are into yoga, meditation, pranayam, sound healing, massages, body alignment. We do biofield therapy, Reiki. And having said that, I think right now my hands are full, and this is what I want to deepen my work on. I don't want to, do more things, but I want to deepen my understanding of sound. I want to deepen my understanding of the human body, the human anatomy, the emotional state, the mental state. And that is what me and my team at Yogtaara we're working on, and we are part of we are part of same communities, like-minded people. We are collaborating, we are cross learning, we are organizing a lot of retreats in the Himalayas, which is immensely helping people.
Right.
So I think that's the plan, to continue doing that and get more get more stable and in depth in that.
Perfect, perfect. So, all the best for everything that is planned and everything that is ongoing as well. So, what's that last piece of advice that you would like to give our audience?
Last piece of advice would be, believe in yourself. you know
Right,
and when I say believe in yourself, it means that, believe that you can get out of something, believe that you can do something, believe that things will change. As long as you have that faith and belief, I think everything falls into place. I think things falter when we lose our belief system, we lose belief in ourselves, we lose belief in our support system or anything. So that belief has to be very strong, and it has to come from within. One has to believe that they are capable of doing miracles, and then the miracles will happen. I have seen it in my own life, when I left everything and I shifted to Himalayas, and God has been very kind, and things fell into place only because I believed.
absolutely, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, thank you, Aparna. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your personal experiences, insights, and I'm sure we've touched a lot of lives, especially where believing in themselves is concerned, self awareness, and self reflection. So, these are three important keywords for this particular podcast. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elvina. It was lovely talking to you, and thank you for making me also think on a lot of things again.
Pleasure, pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you.